Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first day of Heart Intelligence Summit. Before I go into the detail, I just want to explain a little bit of the logistics. So, this summit and workshop that I do, I would like everyone to actually stay muted and possibly camera off, so I can focus on what you see in front of you. And actually, before I go further, if you could type on the chat and let me know that you see the at the top of the PDF and also that you can hear me, that'd be great. I just want to make sure that people can hear me. Otherwise, I'll be talking on my own for the entire time, not anybody able to listen to. Okay, great, great. And the way that I like to do these sort of summits, workshop, however you want to call it, is to deliver the content on the first 3 days. You might wonder, there are more than 3 days. There is actually on Saturday. So today's Tuesday, the California time. Some people are joining from international, including people who are watching the replay. So I'm doing this in California time, 8 o'clock in the morning, about 45 minutes. I'll do my best not to go over 45 minutes. That's something that I'm working on currently. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm gonna go over and explain the most updated version of my view of the self and everything that I do. And on Saturday, so if you, the reason that I'm not doing Q&A, I used to do Q&As, but the reason I'm not doing Q&As on these actual workshop days is because let's say if you have some questions, but I might have the answer the next day. So if you come up with different questions, I want you to sort of write those down and hold, keep them with you. And you might hear the answer on the next 2 days. If not, I will have the bonus training and the Q&A again at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Saturday. So that is the structure until I change my mind. The structure that has been working really, really well. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so 3 days, the workshops. And then, Thursday afternoon, evening, and people sort of get, behind a little bit and fall off track. That's my observation. Life gets in the way. So you have Thursday afternoon, evening, and Friday to sort of catch up, to come up with questions or to inquire a little bit deeper. And then everyone comes back on Saturday for a Q&A. So that has been the most productive. And I'm doing this live session on Zoom if you're here live. And then you'll be receiving the replay via email if you registered via the link. If you haven't registered, you will also see the replays uploaded in the Facebook group, the Spiritual Realization to Success Facebook group. And the replays will be accessible only for 7 days. I know a couple of people in the past have told me, why don't I keep it longer? If I keep it longer, you will take that long to watch it. If you tell yourself to spend 30 days to clean your room, you will take 30 days. But I want people to focus, because then, when you postpone it and then when you do it later, something gets in a way and you lose interest. And so I want people to know that the time limit that I'm creating is to help you to stay focused and absorb it, and to do some internal work by doing a little self-reflection. So each day, if you can see on this PDF, you'll see some bullet points that I'm going to cover. Sometimes these bullet points move to the next day, or the next days won't come to today. So that's something that I'm doing, like a dynamic and fluid. And there's some 1 or 2 questions that I want people to ask. And going over these questions are vitally important, because one of the things that I want to mention is that you can gather all the informations and then not to embody it. And I'm going to talk about, because today's topic is about embodying a spiritual essence. You can intellectualize spirituality and not to embody it. And the key is to embody it, right? So a couple of like housekeeping that I like to sort of share at the beginning is that I know many people. So the content that I deliver is not for anybody who is very new to spirituality. Although I think I have developed an ability to explain in a way that people who are new can also begin grasping. Since as my awareness of explanation evolves, um, but I tend to attract those who have always already been in spiritual path. And it's interesting because in the marketing field, we talk about who is your avatar. Avatar is your target market, target audience, right? Who do you serve? And almost all the time, the avatar and who you serve is yourself. Inevitably, it's yourself. Like for instance, like there are a lot of people. I come from more of the movement background. There are a lot of people who become chiropractor, physical therapist, all those type of profession because they were injured. Does that make sense? So this is something that I'm going to be talking on day 2 actually, that the path that we take has a certain meaning and destiny that is allowing us to arrive at the place that is meant to be. And so given that information, uh, who are my audience? And my audience is myself. And when I look at that way, it makes so much sense because the entire adult life, or even when I was a teenager, my focus was to truly explore the world of spirituality. But that's step one, right? To understand who we are from the spiritual perspective. But how can I integrate it? So I was always a why person, WHY, right? I was always curious about the why. Why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening in the world? And why people are not noticing all those kind of stuff. And I think that what's convincing for me was that so I think I have stepped into different industries, meaning that I was in an entertainment industry, I was in a spiritual fit space, I was in the personal development space, I was in the wellness space. And the reason that I was in different industries is not because I was sort of following the shiny object, because I was looking for the answer in each industry and space in the field. I felt like something was missing. Something was missing in every single industry. Something felt resonated, and then it wasn't complete. And then when I went to this industry, I resonated a couple of a huge amount of this area, but it wasn't complete. And the reason that I wanted to sort of go after different field was to sort of find out the missing link. The missing link. And the missing link is to truly understand who we are and to integrate the whole being of the essence. And you'll hear me talking about the fifth dimensional spiritual plane, fourth dimensional intellectual plane, and the third dimensional physical plane. So I'm deeply curious about how we can integrate the soul and the mind and the body. And we need to understand different communication styles because the soul and the mind and the body communicates completely using different language. But what I'm excited about today is that the heart language is what integrates all three planes. So if you have been sort of attending different workshops that I have done, you might realize, and maybe I should keep this a secret, but you might realize that I'm basically talking about similar thing, but from a different focus and different angle. And that makes everything fun because when you hear something that is similar topic from a different angle, you will start deepening the understanding and the awareness. And oh, by the way, so the reason I wanted to tell you about the housekeeping, one of the most important housekeeping that I want to make sure that we're on the same page is to let go of the idea that you already know. Let go of the idea that you already know. Because whenever I say something, And when you hear with your physical ear and then understand with your mind, and then, oh, I have heard this before, I know this. The moment you decide that, you will close the door of the possibility of going deeper into the next level awareness. So my invitation that I present every single time in any of the summit and workshop that I conduct is to hear every single thing that I will be presenting as if you are hearing for the first time. And there's a power in that beginner's mind that allows you to actually open your heart, allows you to not to have that gate closed off, and to be able to feel into it. So that's number one, housekeeping. And number two, housekeeping is that to be able to um, in your mind, when I explain something, to reflect what does this mean in my actual practical life. Um, because I have done and I have been exposed to so many informational summit and workshop in the past. And what we really want to implement is to embody it, right? So embody means to become one and to be able to apply the information and to be able to live that information is what we're looking for. I'm going to be talking a lot about, and this is the initiation of it, I'm going to be talking a lot about the my dilemma that I have about the education system that I resisted for a long time. I did not like school. I was going to a bookstore after the school to be immersed in the world of spirituality when I was a teenager. I was either dancing or I was going to the bookstore. A lot of my friends were going to McDonald's, but I didn't like going to the McDonald's. So the true education to me, and then this is something that Bob talks about, which is my mentor, Bob Proctor, education comes from the Latin word educare, which means to draw out from within. So, so that the traditional school system is based on, okay, you don't know anything because you are learning and you are needing to memorize all this information. And when you memorize, you gather information and you remember and you pass the test. And the more you can remember and pass the test, you are graded in a better position. And the more you have that better grade, you will have a chance to have a better job. Does that make sense? And that model is not working. It's not working for a lot of us. If if the school years that we have, and if the school is a place to um, be educated, to learn about ourselves and to learn about life and to learn about our mind and emotion, which I don't remember doing any of those, um, the world will be a different place. The world will be coming from a sense of knowing. A world will be coming from how can I lead from the heart, which we're going to be talking about extensively this week. And so the true meaning of education, which is to draw out from within, comes from the understanding and perspective that we already know everything. We already know everything, including what we're talking about and what I'm going to be talking about. And then you might be wondering, oh, you're now just telling me. A moment ago, I told you, imagine and then come from the perspective that you don't know anything, right? And then now I'm telling everyone that actually you know everything. So how does that two goes together, right? Now, what I mean by we already know everything is that the wisdom and what we want to express in the world and our talent and our gift, the seed of those that is already within us. So we're not developing the gift and the talent to be able to express our soul's mission through our heart desire. I'm going to talk about that relationship soon. The soul's mission relates to your heart desire. Is something that you already have within you. So that's what I mean by, drawing out from within. thing. So how can we expand our awareness to tap into that wisdom that we already possess within in that entity called soul, which is more of the actually next month topic. So when I'm doing the heart intelligence, next month will be soul purpose summit, just to give you a heads up. I'm sort of warming people up to get to the soul, because sometimes people get surprised when I get to the soul immediately. So I did the mind last month. I'm doing the heart this month. I'm doing soul next month. And what I mean by, okay, come from the perspective that you have never heard any of this information, is because now we have this programming that we constructed through the education system that we memorize. And then we have this, most of us live every single day based on the false belief about ourselves, which means who we think we are based on our programming, right? And then that's related to a sense of worthiness, that related to the belief that we hold about ourselves, that we feel not good enough, or this is better than something. All those opinions and ideas that we hold about ourselves in relation with others are all false belief. And those needs to be removed, and to come from a pure curiosity, a playful curiosity perspective of, okay, what this information is going to land into my heart and into my feeling, and what does this mean in my actual life. So those are the housekeeping. Okay, I haven't even entered into the content yet. So what I want to invite everyone to do is to, either you're live or replay, I want you to take a deep breath, because when you connect with your breathing, you become deeply present in the moment, and your body and the soul only know how to be in the moment, and the mind wanders. And then I want you to begin sort of entertaining the idea that, what if, I love that what if scenarios. What if the world that you have been witnessing all the way until today, from the day that you were born, all the way until you are living and breathing today, is based on the belief that you constructed, and there is another view? What if the world that you have been experiencing has been laying out, dictated based on the belief and the idea of yourself, the concept of self, who you think you are, and then that is creating a filter of how you're seeing the world? And what if that is not true? What if each and every one of us was sent on this earth plane with a specific mission and a calling? And what if expressing that calling and mission is what each and every one of us is truly here to demonstrate? And what if all the programmings from schools and from surroundings that are basically majority of those fear-based hypnotized us to think and believe in a certain way, and the only thing that we need to do in order to turn that around is to begin seeing ourselves differently? What if you could live anything the way you want to be living, and the idea that, oh, this is what life is about, is just another belief, and that is in the way because you believe so? Does that make sense? I'm sort of taking you to a mind journey of possibilities. So one thing that I have been executing, studying last month, was to start this sort of lesson, presentation, whatever you want to call, with the reflection piece. So, what I would like to invite everybody to begin sort of writing things down today is to write a letter from the infinite mind to yourself, imagining that there is a invisible intention and the energy in the entire cosmos, and the soul that is you was sent for a certain specific purpose to express in this physical world. So if you can imagine that scenario and begin entertaining that idea, then having that in mind, begin writing a letter from the infinite mind, infinite intelligence. Sometimes people call universe, sometimes call people God, sometimes people call source, whatever that makes sense to you and feels good to you, and begin writing a letter to yourself. What is your mission on this earth plane? And the reason that I want to start here is because some phrase that I have been sharing with a lot of people. There's nothing that your heart doesn't know. There's nothing that your heart doesn't know. So um, people ask me, how can I open my heart? How can I tap into that energy of the heart? The heart has a specific intelligence, and something that I have been sharing with people is that the heart has, from the electromagnetic field perspective, the heart has the strongest electromagnetic field. And then when we were in an embryo, we developed the heart before we developed the brain. So there is something about the heart that is so sacred that we need to pay attention to. And then here's the thing, like nobody not like hearing about the heart. Like this is very interesting. Whenever I start talking about the heart, people sort of lean into it and become curious about it. Nobody has, well, if somebody has like a trauma related to love or relationship, they might avoid that. But in general, when I start presenting about, let's talk about the heart, people want to talk about it because they have this curiosity and the positive impression about it, right? So we want to come from there. So to be able to open the heart and connect with that energy of the heart, we need to tap into our desire. And it's very interesting because we have things that we are desiring, right? But we never question where that desire comes from. Why do I want what I want? Why do let's say if you have an idea, and if I ask you, like, what is it that you really want in life? How you want to be living? Like, why do you want that? And if I ask 10 people, generally, because the ultimate journey slash destination in life is to experience a feeling of freedom, right? A lot of people want happiness, peace of mind. Peace of mind is a huge thing for a lot of people. And joy and love and all that, right? If I sort of ask 100 people, like a survey, probably 95% of the time, I get those answers. People want joy, people want love, peace of mind, and health, happiness. But all those things are just a process of leading us to feel free. The feeling of freedom is the ultimate journey and destination that we humans are seeking, biologically and also spiritually. So why do we desire those? Is in general we want those, but there's a unique color in each person what exactly specifically we're desiring, and that is the expression of the soul. So asking yourself, write a letter from the infinite intelligence to yourself, and then what is your mission on this earth, is so powerful to shift our attention from the mind and to the heart. Because when you ask yourself, what is your mission on this earth plane? And when you start going to your head, probably you will never find the answer. It's not the head and the mind that knows, but when you ask that question, and this is how probably specifically I would like everyone to engage in this. Maybe listen to a music that you like, walk, going for a walk. Well, today it's sort of raining here, so do something that relaxes and to gives you that sense of freedom first, and then ask this question or write this question on a paper, and maybe go into a little bit of meditation. Either um, write this question and begin letting the hands to lead you, not the mind, but the hands to lead you, and just go begin writing what you want to write, or go to your meditation and do not answer this question using the mind, but wait for the answer to arise from within. That's how we tap into the intuitive mind, which is the heart. The rational mind, which is the cognition, wants to decide stuff, but the intuitive mind can answer. The heart answers when we don't answer, if that makes sense. The mind wants to decide and answer stuff, and then it becomes very logical, and we end up not really tap into what is the real underneath deepest mission, right? So that's how I want you to engage. Okay, I'm gonna explain the whole lesson today using the next 10 minutes. So today I'm going to be talking about embodying the spiritual essence and who you are and who you think you are. Those are two different things. And then what are you here for is something that we have been talking about. And then how do you embody who you are instead of intellectualizing about it? And this is my true mission. This is my mission, living the spiritual essence in the physical world. How can we express the soul's mission through the heart desire fully in this physical world, and to manifest anything that we want, because anything can happen if we believe so. So these are the things that I'm going to be covering using the next a couple of minutes, and I am going to use my favorite whiteboard. So something that I have been, this is something that I want everybody in the world to know. So we live in three planes of understanding, which is the fifth dimension, fourth dimension, and the third dimension. Now, if you have seen me drawing this, I want you to assume that you have never seen it. That's the point, right? So fifth dimension is your spiritual plane, and the fourth dimension is your intellectual plane, and the third dimension is your physical plane. This is the world of the soul. This is the world of the mind, and this is the world of the body. Let me just make it even. Soul, mind, and body. Yeah. Now we have the mind, and we have the body. Now the body is in the third dimension, but bear with me. I'm going to explain what this means. So the top circle is your mind, and actually the bottom circle is your body, and there's a heart in the body, right? And the mind has a conscious mind, and actually the body is your subconscious mind. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to write the first letter, but I don't want you to get confused, right? This is your spiritual realm, fifth dimension. The fourth dimension is your intellectual plane. The third dimension is the physical plane. This circle S is the world of the soul. Fourth dimension, the world of the mind, and three-dimensional world of the body. Now, here is the key. I said earlier that the soul that is in the spiritual plane, fifth dimension, and the body that is in the third dimension just are. They just are in the present moment. They don't know the past. They don't know the future. They don't know the worries, doubts. They don't know any of those that the mind entertains. We become very interesting about the function of the body, which is fine. We become very interesting about the world of spirituality, which is awesome. What we really need to study is the world of the intellect and the mind. Because if the soul and the body, the fifth dimension and the third dimension, just are this fourth dimension, the mind, sorry, this is my best drawing, is the bridge to connect the soul into the physical world. The mind is the bridge to connect or disconnect the soul into the physical world. Now, the mind think, T is your thinking, and the body feels. Yeah. So the way that I want you to sort of look at this is that yes, the body is in the physical world, but the body embodies consciousness. Yeah. The body has a certain intelligence. So whenever I draw here the body and the mind, I'm talking more about the consciousness of it, right? So the mind has this conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is your body. The mind thinks and the body feels. Does that make sense? And in this lesson, you can assume that the heart is the seed of the feeling. The heart is the seed of the feeling. The heart is the seed of the feeling. Now, at the spiritual level, the essence of who we are is absolute, and there's nothing that can be changed. So, you know, we are the soul just has this curiosity and playfulness and the urge to grow and expand. The soul has the urge to expand and to fully express. Um, this was something that was missing in the field of spirituality that I got exposed to, because the mindfulness meditation and a spiritual space tends to encourage you to live in the present moment, which that's what I'm all about, and to appreciate the existing situation and the growth of expanding and up leveling the life in the physical world felt like was missing. If you are going to just be present in a moment and to not to seek any change, there's not going to be any innovation, right? I'm very inspired by innovations. I'm very inspired by the truth of the existence of who we are. But at the same time, I'm so inspired by what we can create. So things like happiness, joy, freedom, love that I mentioned earlier is who we already are. So the way that you can understand clearly is that in the spiritual plane, everything just is and already complete. Already complete. And when I say this, I really want everybody to internalize and then feel the sense of completion. You know, a lot of people talk about perfection, and a lot of people talk about imperfectly perfect, right? The imperfection that we interpret about ourselves is our intellectual mind. That is a judgment in our mind. We're going to get into that in a moment. But who we are as an essence, as the deeper, Eckhart Tolle talks about deep I. I like that word. The deeper aspect of who we already are and who we always have been and who we always will be is complete. So can we feel that completion of who we are as we are now? And then notice that that is not in our thinking. We want to feel into the abundance and the plentiness and the joyfulness and the happiness and the completeness of who we already are in this moment without trying to change anything. That is the spiritual essence of who we are. And that can never be grasped by our thinking. Because the moment you think, there's going to be some ideas and opinion, and that is a product of the intellectual mind. So the idea that I love so much, that I have been falling in love with, that I cannot wait to share with a lot of people, is that the manifestation that I will be talking more about on day 3, which is, the law of attraction. And the law of attraction follow law of vibration, because we are vibrational being. It really means that to whatever that we hold in the screen of the mind and impress upon our subconscious mind, it materializes in the physical form. And what are we really doing? What we're really doing in that process is that we are moving the energy from the spiritual plane that is already created and complete everything, using that fourth dimension to manifest in the physical world. So the soul that is you is complete, but the soul that is you has this urge to express more in the physical world. And the more we allow our mind to open the heart and allow the soul to express through the heart, which I am calling the gate. The heart is the gate for the soul to shine through, and the mind is the bridge. The bridge is the fifth dimension and the third dimension. Then you can express the completeness of who you are, the happiness and the freedom of who you already are, the joy and the love of who you already are, that you can never change, through the heart into the physical world. So what are we seeking in the physical world? We're seeking happiness, we're seeking love, joy, we're seeking freedom. And if I go a little bit more specific, people in general are seeking 3 to 5 things, depending on how you categorize it. People are seeking better health, more energy. People are seeking better relationship, meaningful relationship and love. People are seeking fulfilling work environment and more money. And then a lot of people are seeking sense of purpose and all that, right? All that is for people to ultimately feel a joy, happiness, and a sense of freedom. And it's very interesting because what we are ultimately seeking through those avenues called health, relationship, work, money is who we already are in the spiritual plane. So the work of conscious manifestation, because we're manifesting things all the time, that is a universal law, just like gravity exists and it's working all the time. So we are collectively manifestors all the time. So when we begin understanding that entire picture of who we are as a complete being from 5 to 4 to 3, what we're here to do is basically each and every one of us has some vehicle and vessel, right? Some people are authors, some people are artists, some people are coaches like myself, some people may be teachers. There are vehicles and vessels, but what we're here to do, the given gift that everyone has as a human, because conscious manifestation can only be demonstrated by humans. No other animals have the ability to use the mind to consciously manifest. So the real objective in the way that the humans are designed to live is to use our mind, entertain our mind, to bring what's already present in the spiritual realm through the psychological process into the physical world. So manifestation is all about creating what's already created in the spiritual plane in the physical world using the power of the mind. And the more you open your heart, the more you can connect back into, like for instance, when you really open your heart, how do we open the heart? the best way that everyone can resonate is to be in the energy of gratitude. And that's what we're doing this month of November, going all the way to Thanksgiving, to have a little bit of gratitude challenge. To actually, I intended to have that to warm up for this heart intelligence workshop. But when you tap into the heart, let's do this everyone together. So, have something in your mind that you can immediately feel grateful for, and then really connect with that energy of gratefulness, appreciation, and energy of gratitude. And we need to sort of proactively go there because being in that energy of gratitude consistently is not what we are programmed to be, even though that is who we truly are. So that overwhelming, deep, profound sense of gratitude that you might feel like, the tears come out. When we have this appreciation and when the tears come out, that's because your body is now aligning with the energy of the soul. That's why we experience tear. The soul is finally saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, mind, to realize that I am here. And then when that spirituality, spiritual essence meet your biology, naturally the tears come out because now you are integrated. Until then, our mind that is conditioned by our society and the system learn to separate it. The soul and the body, for most of us, are disconnected as a default state. And how can we connect that using the power of the mind? So that the deep, profound, overwhelming gratitude that we experience when how does your life would look and feel and experience if that becomes the baseline, that you're there all the time? You probably will feel free because that sense of overwhelming gratitude has a feeling of completeness that you wouldn't want anything else, but you can just enjoy. Enjoy means to be in the energy of joy in that state. That is the feeling of completion, right? And that is the energy of the soul that you are letting it to shine through by opening the heart. Does that make sense? Now, so the heart is the seat of the feeling, and the role of the heart from a spiritual perspective is truly a gate. And we do say, opening the heart, closing the heart. I am more and more coming to realize, which this might evolve next month, who knows, that I am more and more realizing that the heart is always open. The heart is always open. It's the mind that sort of shut off, putting some gate around that heart. So one analogy that I want to sort of introduce you this week is the heart is the gate that the soul can shine through, but the mind is the gatekeeper. The mind is the gatekeeper for the heart to stay open or to close. Now, what determines this is, I'm going to make this very simple. What determines the gatekeeper to decide for the heart to be open or closed, depending on whether you choose to think empowering thoughts, you could say it's positive, or disempowering thoughts, you could say negative. So this is something that I presented more last month through the New Thinking Habit workshop. And the thoughts that we can entertain has two qualities. If I make it simple, it's either empowering thoughts or disempowering thoughts. Now, why do I like to call empowering, disempowering over positive and negative? One, because positive and negative thoughts have been very overused lately. So I want people to pay attention to it more by changing the verbiage. But when you say, I'm just gonna write here because I'm losing space. when you say empower, it means to owning the power within. So whenever you think empowering thoughts, you are choosing to be responsible for your energy. But the moment you start having a negative thoughts or disempowerment, it really means to disempower because you're giving power to something outside of you. It could be your past, it could be the outside circumstance. Does that make sense? And it's very interesting. This is the relationship between the mind and the heart. When you entertain an empowering thought, you're choosing to be powerful. When you choose, I'm just intentionally using the word choosing. When you choose to think disempowering thoughts, you are choosing to become powerless by giving power to something outside of you. And that is the functioning of the gatekeeper that opens or closes the heart. Now let me go a little bit deeper without going too much into detail. If you think that you are worthy, you will be opening the gate. If you feel you are unworthy or less than somebody or less than something, disempower, you will be closing the heart. So opening the heart, closing the heart is not necessarily just thinking happy thoughts or thinking um, encouraging thing. It's not about just thinking gratitude or feeling gratitude, but the sense of worthiness. I'm going to be talking about more this tomorrow. Has a lot to do with the action of the gatekeeper. Now, in the third dimension, the heart has a physical organ, right? And the third dimension consists of the five senses. That's the language of the physical world. Five senses. And whenever we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, that influence our feeling. So the language of the physical world impact and relate with the feeling, which is the seed of the heart. Whenever you think thoughts, because the language of the mind is your thinking, that impact the feeling. When you think empowering thoughts, you open the heart. When you think disempowering thoughts, you close the heart because the gatekeeper decide to do so. And the expression of the soul can only be demonstrated when the gatekeeper decide to open by choosing empowering thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. So I just want you to sort of, because I know that if this is new to you, or if you have been around me, but if you have not been exposed to specific this way of understanding and comprehending the whole thing, I want you to take a deep breath because I know that there was a lot of information, but also I can imagine that you have felt what I was talking about. And one thing that I want you to know is that I will be coming back to this concept over and over the next 2 days. So I do want you to, if you are eager to sort of come back to the replay, feel free to come back to it. But you don't need to assume that I'm gonna move on to something completely different next tomorrow, and one Thursday, because I'm gonna add a different thing and come back to this concept and explain from a different angle to be able to help everyone embody. Because now I think it's scratching the surface a little bit, depending on where you're at and how long you have been working with me. So today, I'm gonna come back to the slide or the PDF. Who you are is complete already. That's the spiritual essence of you, right? And if who you think you are is another thought. So this is something that I didn't talk too much today. The identity that you have and who you think you are, that's a conception of you, only lives in your mind. And let's talk about that tomorrow a little bit because I didn't touch too much of it. And thinking empowering thought, thinking this empowering thought, every single thought that we think is going to add up to the sense of concept of self in your mind. Because every single thought activity that we have, we're going to be adding onto the conception of you. So the way that I like to distinguish is that there is a duality in our life. The spiritual essence and the intellectual self are different, a little bit different. And the who you are, I call it the essence, the soul. And who you think you are is the identity that you're performing in this physical world. And that is a an intellectual thing. It only lives in your mind. It only lives in your mind. What does that mean? It means that if you look at yourself through the mirror and you see the person that you see every single day, that is your body. But what you think about that person in your mind is the true you. You know, I might share this. I have shared this video, YouTube video by Bob Proctor in the past workshop, but I want to share that probably in this workshop too. He has this short YouTube video. I think it's about 7 minutes YouTube video talking about imagination, and very naturally he talks about nobody will see you. Nobody will see you, and because the body is not you, you have the body, and the conception of you only lives in your mind. It is your thinking, it is your imagination, and it is the feeling associated with it. That is you. Nobody can see you, and it lives embodied in your physicality. And the good news is that that is not determined, but dynamic, right? Um, we're going to talk more about that. I think I cover all these. So coming back to reflection, today I want you to entertain this idea of writing a letter from the infinite mind to yourself and ask yourself, what is your mission on this earth plane? What is your mission on this earth plane? Meditate and wait for the heart to sort of answer to arrive through the opening of the heart, or begin writing on paper and let the hand lead you, because deeply at the cellular level, you probably, believe it or not, already know what your mission is. If you think that you don't know, that is your thinking that is preventing you from accessing it. So we must let go of our thinking mind. Okay, that is all, everybody. And see, I told you, I'm still working on finishing doing this in 45 minutes. Maybe I should just decide that it's going to be 53 minutes. If you have any question, hold on to it. I might answer tomorrow. And if you are on the Facebook group, I will be actually every single day. You'll receive the replay via email. And on the Facebook group, I do some sort of warm-ups and additional videos to sort of have people reflect. So have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about embracing your path fully. Everything that happened in your life has a meaning, and the dots that led you to where you are. And again, it's about how we look at it. Do we want to look at from an empowering standpoint or disempowering standpoint? Do we want to let the past trauma to cause us to think this empowering way? Then you are choosing the gatekeeper to close your heart, to continue to let the soul be suppressed on the back seat, not expressed on the front end in the physical world. So that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Okay, thank you for joining, everyone, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and I will see you tomorrow.